Good afternoon. My name is Melissa Doman, and I'm a pediatric sleep consultant, and I specifically work with kids with special needs. And my job as a consultant is to help give parents the tools that they need to get their children sleeping well through the night, independently, and with the best quality possible. And today, I'm going to talk to you about why sleep is so important for your child with trisomy 21, and just a few things that you can start doing at home right now to help your child get a better night's rest. So, sleep is a vital process for the growing brain. Now, when your head hits the pillow at night, your brain and your body start to follow certain patterns. And these patterns are called sleep cycles. And during the sleep cycle, there are many different stages, and there's a lot of things going on in the brain during this time. So, one of the things that the brain does is that it takes information that your child learned that day and it moves it to permanent storage. And the brain at that point, it takes the information and it starts to organize it. So it decides what's the important things that your child learned that day and what are kind of the junk data that you don't need to keep. Now, one of the other important things that happens at night is that your child's brain is resting, it's recuperating, and more importantly, it's making the neural network, it's making the brain stronger. And what it does in order to make it stronger is that it literally goes through spring cleaning every single night. So, when your child has the chance to sleep for many hours with good quality through the night, this is going to help improve the ability to learn. It helps to improve memory, and ultimately the brain is healthier and it's functioning better. Now, sleep is also important for a number of different reasons. It helps to create growth hormone, and for a lot of kids with trisomy 21, they tend to be smaller than the average child. So getting a few more hours of sleep at night, your child will physically start to grow. Now, hormone regulation is also sometimes an issue for some kids with Down syndrome. So getting a good night's rest helps the body do what it needs to do to regulate those systems. Sleep also helps to boost the immune system. And study after study has been done that shows kids who get enough sleep at night, they're healthier and they're less likely to come down with illnesses. Sleep also helps to restore energy. It helps to reduce crying spells and tantrums during the day. A lot of times parents will say, my child has tantrums, they get so upset, and it's probably because they're just really, really tired and they need a nap. Sleep helps to improve the quality of feeds, and ultimately, hopefully, if your child is getting a good night's rest at night, that means you, as a parent, are also getting better sleep. And for a parent who has a child with special needs, your parenting is a challenging and it's a rewarding job, and certainly if your child has additional needs, you're kind of working overtime. So it's important that you're getting the rest that you need to be as fully present and there to help your child each and every day. Now, sleep, you can imagine, is super important, but the unfortunate thing is that for kids with trisomy 21, they are chronically sleep deprived. Okay? It is estimated that over 50% of kids with trisomy 21 have sleep problems. Now, generally, they do tend to have lighter, more fragmented or broken up sleep. And some professionals may say, well, it's because of the genes. They have a genetic predisposition to a poor night's rest. And some studies have shown that kids with trisomy 21, as they get older, sleep gets better with age, but in many cases, the sleep doesn't improve. Now, for my parents with kids with trisomy 21, they often say that their child just has difficulty falling asleep, okay? Or they wake up frequently at night, 2, 3, 4, 10 times a night. They have breathing problems or apnea that also disrupts their sleep and makes having good quality sleep challenging. Perhaps due to low muscle tone around the torso and around the neck, this can also affect breathing, which can affect your sleep. Some children I've worked with, because of digestive issues, it disrupts their sleep at night. The stomach is really not able to do what it needs to, and it will throw off sleep patterns. Some kids just cannot stay asleep. So maybe they sleep for a few hours, they're up at 2 a.m., and they don't fall asleep again until the next night. And some older children, or teenagers, or young adults that I've worked with, they've been dealing with poor sleep for so long that they literally have anxiety around their sleep. They don't know how to do it. They're worried that they're not going to get a good night's rest. And of course, all of these things that I've described, it just adds up to chronic sleep debt. Now, in the short term, being sleep deprived, you're going to feel tired. You're not going to want to do physical activity. You're not going to feel like doing anything, really. But chronic sleep debt has been linked to major health issues like type 2 diabetes, heart problems, and there are even some studies out saying that chronic sleep deprivation can lead to neurodegenerative disorders. And then think about it, if your brain is missing out on a few hours of sleep, that's less time to get organized, to clean up, to restore, to recuperate. So it's no wonder that there's a possible link between sleep debt and neurodegenerative disorders. So, that being said, there are a lot of very simple things that you can do for your child at home to assure that they're getting the best night's rest possible. And some of the things I'm going to share with you now, it's just a few of the things that I teach my families. But for my kids with trisomy 21, these are by far the most important things that parents can do. So the first thing you have to figure out is how much sleep does your child need? Okay, and I think that a lot of parents that I talk to, they're shocked by just how many hours their child needs. So you can see up on the screen, okay, that ultimately, basically until 8 years, 9 years, your child should be getting at least 12 hours of sleep, if not more, in that 24-hour period. Okay, and again, as I said, there are so many things that the brain needs to do at night to really be a well-functioning, well-oiled machine. And the first few years of life are crucial to brain growth and development. So it's no wonder that the brain and the body needs this much sleep. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is really just make sure your child is getting the amount of hours per night that they really need, based on these guidelines. Okay, now the next thing that I teach my families is that children need to learn to fall asleep without external props. Okay, so what is a prop? A prop is simply something that your brain and your body associate with sleep. Okay, so very obvious examples, pillow and blanket. If I were to take these things away from you tonight, you'd probably have a pretty hard time going to sleep, right? And that's just because your brain and your body associate these things with sleep. We've been doing this for decades. We go to sleep with the pillow and blanket. Now, of course, kids can go go to sleep with pillow and blanket. Another very simple and very effective prop is a lovey or stuffed animal, okay? But when it comes to that journey of wakefulness to sleeping, 99% of the kids that I work with, the root of the sleep issues are in that initial falling asleep at night. And that's because the child needs mom or dad in some way to go to sleep. They don't have their own internal strategies. So some examples of this might be a child has to be rocked or cradled to sleep. They need some padding on the back. Or maybe they just need somebody next to them when going to sleep at night. Some other things include needing to be swung or bounced on a physio ball. I was just speaking with a family last week. In order to get their child to go back to sleep at night, they go for a car ride at 1 a.m. Okay. So all of these things, again, are external props where your child is dependent on you. And let me describe a pretty standard scenario. So a child, they have to be rocked to sleep each and every night, okay? So mom or dad is rocking the child drifts off, and they try to make the transition to the bed or to the crib. Worst case scenario, what happens is the child wakes up right again, and you gotta start the whole process over. Okay? But best case scenario, child stays asleep, sneak out of the room, okay? But what often happens is like an hour and a half, 2 hours later, the child's up again, and they're looking for that help. And if you put yourself in your child's shoes, if your child has been rocked to sleep, they're waking up, they're in a dark room, they're all by themselves, they're thinking, well, wait a second, mom was here, she was rocking me, that's when I need to go to sleep, and they're gonna call for you. And a lot of the families that I work with, this happens many, many times a night. And the problem is that for a lot of kids with trisomy 21, they have a really hard time getting back to sleep once their sleep has been interrupted. So that independence aspect is really important. So if you want your child to have the best quality sleep, you want them sleeping independently. And that's because at that